I think it's interesting, in business schools in India, what matters the most is the placement number at the end of the day, right? The average CTC. And fortunately, unfortunately, we are subjected to that same criteria. Most students end up joining the company not like 6 months after they, come out of the program. They join even before they leave the program, right? And so I think because of that, we can do the mathematical ROI calculation, but I think it's quite high.
All right, today we have a very special guest with us. If you are from the MBA space, you must have definitely heard a name in the recent past, and that is Masters Union, and rightly so, because they've created ripples. They have rattled the entire MBA world with the kind of numbers that they have come up with, and for that number to come, there's a lot of hard work that goes in. And to talk about that hard work and the kind of batch that that particular institute had, I have with me Pratham today. Pratham, thank you very much for joining us today.
Awesome. Thanks for having me.
Pratham, very first batch, and these numbers. How do you actually go till this point?
I think it's interesting, in business schools in India, what matters the most is the placement number at the end of the day, right? The average CTC. And fortunately, unfortunately, we are subjected to that same criteria. So the way, we were able to get an average CTC of approximately, I think, 29 lakhs goes back to our founding really, right? And there were three principles that we were founded on. First is that we'll have practitioners from the industry come in and teach, right? So almost 80% of all of our courses are actually taught by CXOs from top companies, right? You have partners of consulting companies like Bain, BCG teaching. You have CXOs, from India's, unicorns teaching. You have a lot of family business professionals coming in and teach as well, right? So when these people teach, they don't teach theoretically. They don't teach chapters, and they don't take tests, and they don't give the kind of assignments we are used to. They make learning very, very hands-on. They teach you what they are actually doing in their companies. Right. So the first thing is that, it's master-led, and that leads to just plain better education. Second is that everything is structured around these challenges rather than courses, right? So we, of course, have skilling courses. We have accounting, we have finance, we have marketing, branding strategy, etc. But what we also have are these challenges. Let me just give you a few examples. The first one is that every student has to run his or her own drop shipping project through the course of the 16-month program, right? A drop shipping project is essentially an e-commerce business, right? So essentially when you're graduating with your own e-commerce business. And we help you sort of run that, and we take you through a process to set that up and to get the marketplace running. But the idea is to really give this exposure, to not just running the supply chain of the e-commerce firm, but also the marketing, right? Also the customer relations, right? So you understand the 360 degree of the business and how business is run. Another challenge that we run is called the local consulting challenge, where you take up a local organization. It could be something as small as a dhaba or something as large as an MNC, and you actually, as a group of 5 students, work with this organization on their biggest challenges, right? I'll just give you one example. Some of our students actually chose to consult with an Uber driver, right? And they helped the Uber driver make more money by doing a few things. Just to give you an example, they helped him sort of create a chart of where he should be at what point of the day, so that he can get, the highest earning rides, essentially, right? So our belief is that, an MBA program doesn't teach you anything if not how to earn money, right? And finally, I think the third thing, which really sort of, tilted the scales in our favor, was the fact that all of our concentrations are tech focused. So instead of finance, we are teaching fintech and finance, right? So we are actually delving into, the nuances of fintech, and all these courses are taught by, the fintech companies of the day. We have at least 3 or 4 professionals, CXO level, from Razorpay coming and teaching payments, right? From Paytm coming and teaching payments. And I think when these things happen, of course, the students will get absorbed in the job market, a lot more readily.
A lot of things has changed in terms of the expectations of the company. A lot of these companies have made substantial changes in the way they work, especially because COVID, because they have understood the importance of technology. They've understood the importance of remote working, hybrid working. What are the kind of things now that you need to impart to students to make them future proof, to make them understand that this is the industry that you are getting in, and these are the kind of qualities and skills that you need to have in order to make the dent?
A couple of things here, Pragnanshu. So I think first is that the age-old concentrations or majors that business schools have always had, finance, marketing, management, strategy, these are not exciting to companies anymore. Right. The things have changed. What is exciting to companies today is understanding of product management, right? Is understanding of data science rather than strategy, right? It's understanding branding and growth marketing and performance marketing rather than traditional marketing. Companies want people who are design thinkers and not essentially strategy framework nerds, right? So half of our batch concentrated in, for example, let's say product management, right? And when the companies are looking for product managers, right, and they see that the student has specifically taken and done projects in product management, and he has a product management portfolio, right, a diversified portfolio where he can showcase that he's built 3 or 4 products through all those challenges I spoke about earlier, he immediately becomes very attractive to the company. He or she becomes very attractive to the company. Second is, there's a very interesting phenomena that we observed was that a lot of companies came to us with this role called the chief of staff role. Right. At first, we were also sort of quite confused. What is this chief of staff role? But it became clear to us that companies want candidates who can think beyond one specific department, right? Who can understand marketing, who can understand finance, and sort of take that together and help the product team sort of, come up with the product, right? And I think that's what we had achieved with the dropshipping project. That's what we had achieved with the local consulting challenge, where our students were able to think beyond departments. Right. And so because of that, almost 10% of the batch got recruited as chief of staff or entrepreneur in residence roles in top startups, right? And we are very excited about that.
Great. Let's talk a little bit about, which is the kind of industry experience program that you offer.
Yeah. So a few things here, right? We have an internship in the middle that happens. Even though we are a 16-month program, we have this 4-month internship that happens in the middle. But actually, it's not just an internship. Internship is only done by, I think, 30% of all of our students. Another 30%, another 1/3 of students actually engage in further working on their dropshipping project or their startup project, whatever it is that they're doing. Right? We call it the venture initiation program. And so 1/3 of the students work in that. I think once you have run your own company, I think you become very attractive to organizations. The final 1/3 of the students, they actually do what we call fellowships. Right, where they say that, okay, these 4 months I'm going to spend working with one of the masters, shadow them, and build my skill, right, in which the master is an expert.
Pratham, while we are talking about these companies who come on campus, let's talk an exhaustive list of companies that come in here.
So the first domain that I think is most popular is consulting. Here we had Bain, BCG, McKinsey, EY, sort of come in and take approximately 13% of all students, right? The average CTC was around 30.72 lakhs. Then we have a domain that we like to call large tech, which includes companies like Microsoft, Cisco, Cognizant, Virtusa, right? They approximately took 10% of the class as well. Here, the average CTC is much higher, at approximately 35. In finance, we had Citibank, HSBC, CRISIL, come in and take approximately 20% actually of the batch. Here we have 24 lakhs as the average CTC, slightly lower than average here. Finance has been lower than the average. Fintech included Razorpay, JustPay, Ziploan, neobanks, like here approximately a 1/4 of the batch went.
Now I would like to jump into another segment where people actually calculate the ROI basis that, and that's the kind of fees that they need to pay, and that's the kind of the kind of learning that they're getting. So if you can share that bit of information with us, is there any sort of scholarship that is going to help these students up as well, and what is the kind of end amount that they will be paying at the end of this course?
Our first batch was obviously very lucky because we wanted to attract the best students. So they were extended 100% scholarships as well in some cases. Okay. We have clawed back on that. So now scholarships are available. They're either need-based or merit-based. So once you get in, right, once you're accepted, then we work with you to make sure that, the system sort of works out for you. So in case you need a scholarship, we will extend that if you can prove the need. If you need financing, we'll of course facilitate that. So we are at around 20 lakhs. And you mentioned ROI, right? And it's very interesting how we must calculate ROI when we talk about these programs. So first of all, it's a 16-month program where most students actually end up joining their companies in term 7. So we have a very front-loaded program where more courses and more inputs are in the first 80% of the program. So the last 20% of the program is actually something you can do online, where you can join the company earlier as well. So a lot of our students joined the company as soon as they finished term 6, and we have 8 terms in total, right? So first of all, 1-year program, I think it's priced well. I think, that helps us to make sure that we have the best faculty that we can bring in. Second, most students end up joining the company not like 6 months after they, come out of the program. They join even before they leave the program, right? And so I think because of that, we can do the mathematical ROI calculation, but I think it's quite high. Because I think the input is one of the lower ones in our tier segment, and the output is one of the higher ones in our tier segment.
Let us understand the kind of process that's there. What are the steps in the admission process at Masters Union?
We have a 3-step admissions process, in which we try to check the candidature holistically. So the first step is where we ask you to submit your recommendations and an essay. The second step is where we ask you to submit either your GMAT, GRE or CAT scores. And finally, we take an interview, which happens with one of our founding masters. If you have not taken the 3 tests, you can also enroll for the MU BAT, which is our in-house test, where you're actually asked to solve a very interesting case study. So it is not a kind of test that you can really prepare for. And that's why, people don't have to, take a leave of absence from work and, take all these classes. They can just sit for the exam directly.
Great, lovely. Pratham, before we let you go, any final piece of advice that you have for our students who are interested, in becoming a part of an institute like yours? Are there future plans where you are where you are thinking that you are going to grow the batch that also will give a boost to the students that they have a chance?
At Masters Union, we are not looking for the traditional MBA student, right? We are not looking for somebody who is just coming to increases average salary, whatever, right? That is not what we're here for. If you have the energy to be able to work 16 hours a day, right? First a few hours in campus in classes, and then a few hours, working on all these challenges that I spoke about. And if you think that you'll find that interesting, and if you think that you'll thrive in such an environment, then you should apply.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Pratham, for this amazing talk with us, for being very candid with the kind of answers that you have provided. I'm sure this will help a lot of these aspirants who are looking at this video to build their own stories, form their own journeys, and present it to you guys. If whoever is watching this, if you also want to know a little bit more about this particular institute, there is a link in the description. You can click that. Thank you very much, Pratham, for joining us today, and all the very best with the B-school that is headed to be the #1 in the country.
Thank you so much. That means a lot.